legends people invent, and then there are stories that simply wait for you to make a mistake. This happened one summer. 7 young people, one rented house, one lake hidden behind an old forest. Locals told them not to go there. They didn't explain why. They never had to. They came for a weekend getaway. Music, laughter, alcohol, no fear of old stories. The lake looked calm during the day. Too calm. The water was dark, even under the sun. At night, it felt different, like it had no bottom. The first one to hear her was Max. It was after 2 in the morning. He stepped outside to smoke. The house was quiet. The forest wasn't. That's when he heard singing. Soft, female, sad. Not loud, not distant, close. It sounded like someone crying, but turned into a melody. Max told himself it was the wind, or his imagination, or someone playing a joke. Then he walked toward the lake. She was sitting on a rock near the water. Long hair, wet, shining in the moonlight. Her skin was pale, too pale. Her eyes were light, too light. And only after a moment did he realize what he was seeing. She didn't have legs. She had a tail. She was singing to him. And Max smiled. In the morning, Max was gone. His phone was on the shore. His cigarettes were next to it. His footprints stopped at the water's edge. At first, they laughed. They said he went for a swim. Max hated that. He always had. The next night, 2 more of them heard the singing. Different words, different melodies. The meaning was always the same. Come closer. Don't be afraid. By morning, they were gone too. Now no one was laughing. No one slept. That's when the old woman from the nearby house spoke. She said this wasn't just a mermaid. She said the lake listens. When 7 come together, she wakes. She takes the ones who listen, and she leaves one behind. Someone who remembers. By the final night, only 3 were left.
Imagine a school
The
that
singing
secretly
didn't
sold
stop.
grades.
It grew
Kids
louder,
from wealthy families paid up to
closer. One of the girls
$25,000
stood
and
up.
got straight
She
A's.
said she wanted to
Poor
see her.
students, their
No
grades
one
were
could stop
intentionally
her.
lowered,
She
fake
walked
violations
toward
added,
the lake.
and they were labeled
She
low
never
ROI.
came back.
It all blew
Only
up when a
one
teacher
survived.
recorded a secret
He
meeting
never
with the
went near
principal
water
saying,
again.
"The rich must
But
stay happy.
sometimes,
Everyone
in
else is
complete
just an
silence,
expense."
he
The internet
still
exploded.
hears singing.
Protests, lawsuits.
So if you ever hear a
say
woman's
night
voice
bus
near
routes are
water at
safe.
night,
That
don't
night
follow
proved
it.
them wrong.
Don't answer it.
At 12:47
She doesn't
a.m.,
sing
3
for
passengers
everyone.
boarded my bus.
People in that part
None
of
of them
northern
came
Michigan
back.
don't talk
They
much
say
about the lake
night bus
anymore.
routes are safe.
Not because they're scared,
That night
but because
proved
everyone
them
who
wrong.
grew up there
At
understands
12:47
the same
a.m.,
rule.
3
If something
passengers boarded
takes
my
7
bus.
at once,
None of them
you
came
don't
back.
say its name out loud. I didn't grow up there. I learned about the lake later, after everything happened. After the missing persons reports, after the water was drained and filled again like nothing had ever lived inside it. This is not a legend. It's not a campfire story. It's what happens when young people believe nature is empty. They were 7, college friends, early 20s, from different states, different lives, all connected by one idea. A long weekend, a cabin by the water. No phones, no city noise, just trees, alcohol, and time. The cabin sat near a lake locals called Greywater. That wasn't its real name. It was just what people called it once the real name stopped being used. Greywater didn't look dangerous. That was the problem. The surface was smooth, almost oily. No waves, no insects skating across it, no birds landing on it. During the day, it felt dead. At night, it felt awake. The first evening passed normally. Laughter, music, stories that get louder with every drink. Someone suggested swimming. Someone else said the water looked wrong, too dark, too still. They laughed that off. By midnight, the fire burned low. 6 of them went inside. 1 stayed behind. Evan. Evan liked quiet. He always had. He sat on the dock with his feet hanging inches above the surface, listening to the forest breathe. That's when he heard singing. At first, it sounded like wind passing through hollow branches. Then it shaped itself into something else, a voice. Female, soft, close enough to feel personal. It wasn't loud, it didn't need to be. The song didn't have words Evan recognized, but it carried emotion, loneliness, longing, something unfinished. He stood up. The water rippled for the first time that night. Something moved just beneath the surface. Not fast, not aggressive, inviting. Evan took 1 step forward. The singing stopped. In the silence, he realized how cold the air felt, how wrong it was that the forest had gone quiet with him. He backed away, went inside, locked the door. He didn't tell anyone what he heard. That was his mistake. The next morning, everyone noticed the same thing. The lake smelled different, metallic, old. They joked about algae, about dead fish. They didn't see any fish. They spent the day hiking, drinking, trying not to look at the water too long. That night, the singing returned. This time, 2 people heard it. Maya and Jordan. They heard different melodies, different tones, but both voices said the same thing without words. Come closer. Maya stood at the edge of the dock, barefoot, staring into the dark water like she was looking at a mirror. Jordan found her there. She didn't answer when he spoke. She only smiled. Not a happy smile, a calm one. The kind people wear when they've already decided something. Jordan grabbed her arm. The water moved again. This time, something surfaced, just enough to be seen. Pale skin, long hair floating like weeds, eyes reflecting moonlight. No legs. A tail broke the surface for half a second before disappearing again. Jordan screamed. Maya didn't. She pulled away and stepped forward. Jordan reached for her. The water exploded upward. Something wrapped around her ankle and pulled. Maya was gone before Jordan hit the dock. They searched all night. They screamed her name until their voices cracked. The lake didn't give her back. By morning, the sheriff arrived. He took notes, asked questions. He didn't search the water. He told them drownings happen, accidents happen. Then he told them something strange. This wasn't the first time. Every few years, a group would come, 7 or 8 people, always young, always confident, and someone would disappear, sometimes more than one. They stayed anyway. That was the second mistake. Fear does strange things to people. It makes them stubborn. It makes them believe leaving means admitting something impossible is real. The third night, the singing came early, before dark, before dinner, before anyone could pretend it was their imagination. It echoed from the lake, through the trees, into the cabin. Clear now, beautiful. 3 of them walked toward it without speaking. Evan tried to stop them. His hands passed through empty air. They didn't hear him. The water welcomed them. One by one, they stepped in. The surface swallowed them gently. No splashing, no struggle, just acceptance. That night, Evan locked himself in the bathroom with a knife. He listened to the singing circle the cabin. Sometimes it sounded like one voice, sometimes like many. Sometimes it used his name. In the morning, only two remained, Evan and Claire. Claire wouldn't stop crying. She said she saw faces under the water. Not dead faces, waiting faces. People who looked peaceful. The lake was full now. The singing stopped. That was worse. They tried to leave. The truck wouldn't start. The road they came in on didn't look the same. Trees stood where it used to be. Paths twisted back toward the lake no matter which way they walked. By nightfall, Claire was gone. Evan never heard her leave. He only found her shoes by the dock. The final night, the lake spoke without singing. It spoke clearly. It told Evan the truth. It had been alone too long. It needed witnesses. It needed memory. 7 was enough to wake it. 1 was enough to remember it. Evan survived. He was found days later wandering the highway barefoot, dehydrated, screaming about water. The lake was drained the following year, dredged, refilled. They never found bodies, but divers reported something strange. No fish, no plants, and scratches on the concrete walls, like something inside didn't want to be empty again. If you ever visit a lake that looks too still, too quiet, too clean, leave before sunset. And if you hear singing, don't listen. It's not calling you. It's counting.
The road that never let them pass. There's a stretch of highway in Nevada that doesn't show up on most maps anymore. Not because it doesn't exist, but because people stopped agreeing on where it actually is. Truckers know it. Locals avoid it. And if you ask state officials, they'll tell you the same thing. There is no such road. That's a lie. 7 people found it by accident. They were driving from California to Utah. Spring break, cheap motel reservations, one SUV packed with backpacks, fast food wrappers, and bad music. They weren't looking for anything strange. They weren't chasing legends. They just missed a turn. The GPS recalculated, then froze, then went blank. No signal, no map, just asphalt stretching forward under headlights. The road was straight, perfectly straight. No curves, no exits, no signs. Desert on both sides, flat, empty, too empty. At first they joked about it. Someone said it felt like a movie set. Someone else said they'd turn around at the next mile marker. There were no mile markers. After 20 minutes, the gas gauge hadn't moved. The clock still read 11:43 p.m. That's when they saw the man. He stood in the middle of the road, not waving, not moving, just standing there, tall, thin, hands at his sides. He was smiling. The drivers slowed down. Everyone shouted at once, "Don't stop! Go around him! Honk!" The horn didn't work. The headlights flickered as they passed him. For a split second, his face filled the windshield. His eyes were wrong, not empty, not angry, expectant. The moment they passed him, the radio turned on by itself. Static, then silence, then a voice. Not the man's, a woman's voice reading numbers, coordinates. No one spoke. The road kept going. 5 minutes later, someone asked where Tyler was. Tyler had been sitting in the back seat. His backpack was still there. His phone was on the floor. Tyler was gone. No doors opened, no brakes slammed. He was just not there. Panic set in fast. They stopped the car. The engine kept running. The air outside felt heavy, pressurized. The desert didn't sound like a desert. No wind, no insects. The road behind them was gone, just darkness where asphalt should have been. They drove forward. That was the only direction left. The woman's voice returned every few miles. Always numbers, always calm, always wrong. Every time the voice played, someone noticed something missing. A jacket, a bag, a person. They tried counting. They kept miscounting. At some point, they realized the man was no longer outside. He was inside the car. Not physically, but his reflection appeared in the rearview mirror, smiling, watching, never blinking. One of them screamed and covered the mirror. The smile appeared in the side window instead. Another disappeared. The gas gauge finally moved. Down. Fast. They argued about stopping, about walking, about smashing windows. The road didn't allow it. Any attempt to leave the vehicle ended with them back inside, seatbelt clicked, engine running. Like the road corrected mistakes. They started seeing headlights ahead. Hope. Another vehicle. As they got closer, they saw it wasn't moving. An abandoned car. Same model, same color, same dents. Their car. Empty. The moment they passed it, one more was gone. Now there were three. The woman's voice stopped. The man started talking. He spoke like he was explaining rules to a child. He said roads like this exist between places, between decisions, between moments when people should have turned back. He said the road needed witnesses, and drivers, and passengers. He said someone always gets through. He didn't say who. The SUV slowed on its own. Ahead, the road finally curved. At the curve stood a sign. Welcome back. Only one seat was occupied now. The car stopped. The engine died. Morning sunlight hit the windshield. Normal desert, normal highway. A passing driver called 911. They found one survivor sitting in the driver's seat, unable to speak. 6 missing persons reports followed. No crash, no bodies, just a road that officially doesn't exist. Truckers still report a man standing in the distance, smiling, waiting for the next car to miss its turn.
The house that kept rearranging itself. There's a reason some houses are cheap. Not because they're old, not because they're damaged, but because they don't stay the same long enough to be understood. This house was listed for 3 weeks. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, basement, wooded property in rural Pennsylvania. The price was suspicious. That should have been enough. 7 people rented it together, friends since high school, some closer than others, all convinced that a quiet weekend in the woods would fix things they didn't want to talk about. The house looked normal when they arrived. White siding, wide porch, tall trees pressed close around it like they were listening. Inside, everything felt clean. Too clean. No dust, no personal items, no signs anyone had ever lived there. They chose rooms quickly, dropped bags, opened drinks. Someone joked that the house felt staged, like a model home. They laughed. That night, one of them got lost on the way to the bathroom. It was Aaron. He stepped out of his room and walked down the hallway he remembered. But it didn't end where it should have. Instead of the bathroom, there was a door. He didn't remember a door being there. He opened it. It was a bedroom. Not his. A child's room. Small bed, crayons on the floor, drawings taped to the walls. All of them showed the same thing. A house, with people inside it. One of the figures was crossed out. Aaron backed away and closed the door. The hallway was normal again. He didn't tell anyone. By morning, the house felt different. Subtle changes. A window where there hadn't been one. A staircase that seemed steeper. A door that opened the wrong direction. They blamed bad memory, lighting, alcohol. It's easier to doubt yourself than a building. The second night, the power went out. Phones showed no signal. Flashlights worked. They gathered in a living room. Someone suggested counting rooms. They couldn't agree on the number. The house creaked, not settling, moving. Walls shifted softly like someone breathing slowly in the dark. A door slammed upstairs. 2 of them went to check. They never came back. No scream, no sound. Just absence. When the others searched, the upstairs hallway ended in a wall. Solid, unbroken. The rooms they'd slept in were gone. Panic replaced logic. They tried windows. Some opened to the forest. Some opened to other rooms. One window showed the living room from the outside. Another showed nothing at all. Just darkness. They heard footsteps inside the walls. Slow, deliberate, like the house was deciding where to place them next. One of the girls, Emily, started crying. She said she recognized the drawings. She'd lived here before, as a child. She said the house didn't want people to leave. It wanted people to fit. One by one, rooms appeared that no one remembered. A second basement, a narrow staircase behind the fridge, a bathroom without mirrors. Every new space came with a cost. Someone vanished, not dragged, not killed, reassigned. The house rearranged itself to make room. They tried breaking walls. The wood bled dust that smelled old and wet. The holes closed when they turned away. By the third night, only 2 remained. The house was quiet now, satisfied. 1 bedroom remained. It had 7 beds. 6 were occupied. The 7th was waiting. The survivor was found days later walking along the road, barefoot, confused. When police searched the property, the house had 3 bedrooms. No basement, no drawings, just empty rooms. But neighbors say sometimes, late at night, lights turn on, and the floor plan never looks quite the same twice. The town where photos never stayed the same. The town didn't look strange when they arrived. That was the first thing everyone agreed on. It sat just off a 2-lane road in upstate New York, surrounded by hills and trees that felt older than the map suggested. 1 main street, a diner, a gas station, a small motel with a flickering sign that read, "Vacancy," even though the parking lot was empty. 7 friends stopped there because they were tired. They had been driving for hours, arguing about directions, about music, about nothing important. When the road narrowed and cell service disappeared, the town felt like relief, a place to rest, a place to reset. The motel clerk barely looked at them when he handed over the keys. He didn't ask for IDs, didn't ask how long they were staying. He just said something quiet as they turned away. "Make sure you take pictures early." They laughed about that later. The rooms were clean, old but clean. They dropped their bags and went out to explore the town before sunset. Someone brought a camera, not a phone, an actual camera. They wanted something real. They took photos everywhere, in front of the diner sign, by the old church, near a rusted playground where the swings moved without wind. In every photo, they stood close together. 7 people, same smiles, same faces. That night, while reviewing the pictures in the motel room, someone noticed something strange. In one photo, there were 8 people. No one stood behind them when they took it. They were sure of that. The extra figure stood near the edge of the frame. A woman. Her clothes were outdated. her face slightly blurred. Her eyes were clear. They assumed it was a reflection, a glitch, someone passing by. They deleted the photo. The next morning, one of them was missing. Ethan's bed was untouched. His bag was still there. His phone was charging on the nightstand. No sign he'd left. They ran outside, asked at the diner, asked the gas station attendant. No one remembered him. They called the police. The police station was empty. The camera was still on the table. They checked the photos again. Every picture now showed 6 of them, and the woman, standing closer. They didn't laugh anymore. Panic set in slowly, like cold spreading through water. They tried to leave town. The road out curved back toward the motel no matter which direction they drove. The GPS showed movement. The scenery didn't change. By afternoon, the town felt quieter. Not empty. Aware. Windows reflected faces that didn't match the people looking into them. Mirrors showed rooms slightly different than the ones they stood in. They took more photos, hoping to document everything. Every new photo changed. Buildings shifted, signs spelled different names. And always the woman was there, clearer now. By evening, another friend disappeared. This time they heard it happen. Footsteps outside the motel room, a voice calling a name, familiar, comforting. The door opened. The camera fell to the floor. When they checked the photos afterward, there were still 6 people. But one of the original faces was gone. Replaced. The woman was smiling now. They found an old photo album in the motel office. Black and white photos of the town. Different decades, same streets, same buildings. Groups of people posing for photos. Always visitors. Always smiling. Always 7. And in every final photo, the same woman stood with them, her face clearer each time. Her name appeared written on the back of one photo. Margaret. They realized the truth too late. The town didn't trap people, it archived them. Memories faded, faces replaced. The town stayed full without ever growing. By the 3rd night, only 2 remained. They destroyed the camera, smashed it against the pavement until it was nothing but plastic and glass. The next morning, one was gone anyway. The last survivor ran. He didn't stop, didn't sleep. When he reached the highway, he turned around. The town wasn't there. Just trees. Just road. Years later, he received a postcard. No return address. On the front was a photo. A small town. 7 people smiling. And one familiar face standing among them. Clear as day.
The motel room that was never on the register. Most people think motels are temporary places, somewhere you pass through, somewhere that doesn't remember you. That's not always true. There's a motel along Route 66 in western Arizona that doesn't advertise online. No website, no reviews, just a sun-faded sign that says vacancy and never turns off. 7 people stopped there because the road was making them tired. They had been driving since early morning. Heat shimmered off the asphalt. The desert stretched flat and endless on both sides. When the motel appeared, it felt sudden, like it had stepped into the road instead of the other way around. The office smelled like dust and old air conditioning. The clerk was elderly, thin, and quiet. He asked how many rooms. They said 3. He paused longer than necessary, then nodded. He handed over keys without asking for names. As they turned to leave, he spoke. If any door is already open, don't go inside. They laughed once they were outside. Doors don't open themselves. The rooms were arranged in a straight line, parking spaces directly in front, numbers painted in peeling white. 3 rooms. They dropped bags and went out to eat at a nearby diner. When they returned after dark, the air felt different, cooler,
heavier. And there was another door. Between 102 and 103, room 104. The paint was newer, the light above it was on. No one remembered seeing it before. They assumed they missed it earlier. Someone joked about the motel expanding. They didn't check with the clerk. That night, Tyler couldn't sleep. He heard movement outside his door. Footsteps, slow, dragging. He opened the curtains slightly. Room 104's door was open. The light inside flickered. He told himself someone must be staying there. Still, something felt wrong. The room looked deeper than it should have, like the hallway inside went farther back than the building allowed. The next morning, one of them was missing. Lena's room was empty. Her bed untouched, her bag still zipped, her phone charging. They searched the motel. They knocked on every door. When they knocked on 104, no one answered. The door was unlocked. Inside, the room smelt damp. Not like mold, like standing water. The carpet was darker near the bathroom. There were no personal items, just a single wet footprint near the tub. They went to the office. The clerk frowned when they mentioned Lena. He checked the register. 6 names, not 7. They asked about room 104. The clerk's hand froze. There is no room 104. They showed him the door. When they walked back together, the space between 102 and 103 was gone. Just wall. That night, the door returned. This time, it was open wider. They argued about leaving, about calling the police. No signal. The landline in the office rang endlessly without connecting. The second disappearance happened quietly. No scream, no sound, just absence. When they checked the register again, there were 5 names. Every time someone vanished, the motel adjusted. Fewer towels, fewer lights on, less space. The building felt like it was tightening. They started sleeping in shifts, watching the door. Room 104 appeared only at night. Always open, always lit. And sometimes someone could be seen inside, standing with their back turned. When one of them called out a name, the figure slowly turned around. The face was familiar, too familiar. It smiled. One of them broke. He ran for the room, screaming that it was a trick. They tried to stop him. He crossed the threshold. The door closed behind him. The light went out. In the morning, the register showed 4 names. The clerk looked older, more tired. He admitted the truth. The motel didn't lose people. It stored them. Room 104 wasn't a room. It was a space between check-ins. A place for guests who stayed too long. People who didn't leave when the road offered them a chance. By the final night, 1 remained. The door was open. The room inside looked normal now. Clean, dry, empty. The clerk handed him a key, said nothing. The survivor drove until sunrise. The motel was gone. Years later, he passed the same stretch of road. The sign was there. Vacancy. And 1 extra light on. The radio station that never went off air. Every small town has a radio station. Something local. Something harmless. Weather, traffic, music no one argues about. This one wasn't on any schedule. 7 people discovered it on a road trip through West Virginia. Late fall. Mountains closing in on both sides of the highway. Signal fading in and out as the sun went down. They were tired of playlists, tired of silence. When the radio crackled to life, it felt normal at first. Soft static, then music. An old song none of them recognized, but all of them felt like they'd heard before. The display showed a frequency that didn't exist. They didn't question it. The host came on after the song ended. Calm voice. Male. Friendly. He welcomed them to the night program, said he was glad they were listening, said not many people stayed tuned in anymore. Then he said one of their names. Just one. Laughed it off. Someone joked about targeted ads. The road twisted deeper into the mountains. Trees blocked the sky. No cell service. The host spoke again. He said the road ahead was dangerous. He said someone in the car should be careful. He said another name. They turned the radio off. The silence felt worse. 10 minutes later, the radio turned itself back on. The host apologized, said he didn't like being ignored, said the station existed to keep people company, to make sure no one drove alone. They tried changing the frequency. Every station played the same thing, the same voice, the same song. They stopped at a gas station that looked half abandoned. One pump worked. The clerk inside was watching an old TV behind bulletproof glass. They asked about the radio station. The clerk's face tightened. He asked how many of them were in the car. They said 7. He told them to leave the radio on, no matter what it said. He told them never to answer it. They laughed nervously and left. The road narrowed. The host began telling stories. Accidents, disappearances, names and dates. Some of the names were scratched into the wood of the guardrails they passed. The first disappearance happened without warning. One moment there were 7 voices arguing in the car. The next, one seat was empty. No door opened, no sound, just a gap where someone had been. The host paused the music, said he was sorry, said sometimes people lose signal. They screamed, they cried, they demanded answers. The host said the station only works at night, only in places where no one is listening anymore. He said the mountains remember voices. The second person vanished when they tried to throw the radio out the window. It reappeared on the dashboard, still playing, still calm. The host said resisting made the signal stronger. The road signs stopped making sense. Distances counted backward. Town names repeated. The host began speaking directly to individuals, reminding them of things no one else knew. Secrets, regrets, thoughts they'd never said out loud. One of them answered, just once. The host thanked her. She was gone before the sentence ended. They drove until the gas gauge hit empty. The car kept going. The music slowed. The host said the station needed new voices, that old ones fade, that someone had to stay behind to keep the signal alive. They saw the radio tower at the top of a ridge, lights blinking slowly. The road ended there. By the time they reached the tower, only one remained. The host went silent. The music stopped. The door of the station building was open. Inside, microphones sat in front of empty chairs, dusty, waiting. The survivor was found 2 days later wandering near the state line. No car, no radio. He doesn't listen to music anymore. But sometimes, late at night, when the world goes quiet, a familiar song plays softly in his head, and a voice reminds him that the station never really goes off air. It just waits for someone else to start listening.